Getting it in, loading it up. Get stress off my head. These guys. Beautiful. Black flowering amethyst. Butterfly wings. Other amethysts and so forth. Don't have to worry about them getting broke on this concrete. Almost there, kids. She and I and she, but we had a beautiful time here, and we thank all of you for letting us be a part of your life. Evolution. Evolution. We love you guys, and we thank you for letting us be a part. Amazing. Remember, it's as easy as writing VP882. It's a bacterial macrophage that I use to kill, control illnesses, sarcoidosis, and COVID, and so forth. It's as easy as writing VP882 on your glass, or etching it like I do. My silvers that I've been making back in February. Different batches, different strains, different strains. Fake book that blocked my post showing how to make it and everything. Beautiful silvers, all color spectrum. VP882. Look it up. Yeah. Got this thing out there. I'll burrito it. Strap it down. Getting there. Legoing it out. Getting closer. Get these big things on there. And stand. That should be the last of the big stuff. Time to stitch up the tarp. We packed up. A couple more. And that's all, folks. We love you. Thank you for letting us be a part. We say thank you for coming up and seeing us and joining us in our evolution. You don't hear this stuff all day. Alright, kids. I had chocolate milk with this chocolate bundt cake from the Amish County. I'm gonna try a little regular milk. Slice of cake. Here we go. A little low. Butterfly wings in there. Bye. Help us fly. Perfect storm with all those particulates in the air from the farmers, the rice milling and so forth. All the static, all the moisture being drawn out from the forest and people and so forth. Kinetic and electrostatic energy. Was beautiful. Black flowering amethyst. Everything gonna be getting blessed by the full moon.
All the Christmas.
Tomorrow.
New beginnings. Ones that are open.
I did that myself. Triage transfer. Woo. Everybody getting cleaned. It's a little much for us to do like we used to do back in the day. You drive all the way to Mount Shasta, wash everybody in the headwaters. One of the Extendo ones. Yeah, everybody getting full moon bath. Reorientation set program. Personal crystal collection just got big. I'm super happy.
Repeated campaign claims that the country is rounding the turn on the pandemic and that a vaccine would be delivered in, and I quote, a matter of weeks. He's now taken it to another level, claiming that doctors get more money when they declare a patient dead from COVID-19.
You know, our doctors get more money if someone
Wow.
gets COVID. You know that, right? I mean, our doctors.
I'm not saying wow because what he's saying. But I'm saying wow because what he's saying.
But in Germany and other places,
Conspiracy.
if you have a heart attack or if you have cancer, you're terminally ill, you catch COVID, they say you died of cancer. You died of heart attack. With us, when in doubt, choose COVID. It's true.
Mr. Trump's rival Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden, on the other hand, continues making his case against the president by pledging to enact a plan to halt the spread of the virus if elected. And he says Mr. Trump has given up, but he will not.
We've now hit 9 million cases nationwide. Tragic milestone.
What will we be at 3/31/21?
They can't see the light. They don't know. It just looks dark right now for them. Donald Trump has given up. I've said before, I'm not going to shut down the economy. I'm going to shut down the virus.
He stated that's when he becomes a man or some shit. Next year, March 31st.
With an average of about 8 percentage points, but that doesn't mean he will take the seat on the 3rd of November, as he could still lose some key battleground states. So far, postal officials say they are unaware of any issues, but more than 10,000 people have called in to ask about their missing ballots. With just 4 days to go until polls close, the country is on course for its highest electoral turnout rate in more than a century. At least 85 million Americans have already cast their ballots either by post or in person, and that's more than 60% of the 2016 turnout. 9 million of them came from Texas, the nation's second most populous state. U.S. intelligence officials have revealed more details about Iran and Russia's alleged interference in the upcoming election. Iranian hackers successfully
First of all, you're right to say that I'm not a medical.
So, are you saying that now the rapid tests have evolved more and that you're not concerned about their accuracy?
First of all, you're right to say that I'm not a medical specialist, but what we are working very closely with the medical community and the pharmaceutical companies and laboratories. And what we see is absolutely clear and certified that the tests for the COVID-19 test have significantly improved, especially the rapid testing through antigen. Now we understand that the reliability that has been reached by at least 2 very big pharmaceutical groups is above 97%, around 98%, which is the sensitivity, to be very precise. At this level, the risk of having, false tests or wrong testing is absolutely minimal, especially when you consider the population that you test. And so we are above the levels that are considered as reliable and safe for this type of process. So yes, the industry has improved, and we should take advantage of these improvements. The other point that has significantly, the other points that have significantly improved are the costs that has been, reduced by 20, and secondly, the production rate. The industry is able to produce millions of tests per day, which correspond to the order of magnitude of what the world needs and what the aviation needs.
If people are to fly between countries, of course, passengers must feel safe. Now, the CDC guidelines still urges avoiding travel as much as possible, but what does your own research, your own IATA research, tell you about consumer sentiment and passenger willingness to fly?
What we have in our surveys is two very interesting results. First of all, almost 84% of passengers are considering that testing is a safe way of ensuring that there is no risk, and the same percentage of passengers say that they are ready to include this testing step in their journey. So we are
Getting it done. Putting the glass up broke. Plasmatizing, turning it into plasma creations, right? Turn into plasma creations, right? There. Tell you what, when I first moved this thing, I couldn't do it by myself. Doing all the work on the property and stuff. Picked it up. Yeah. Talk beer. Getting stronger every day. Love you guys. Whew. This little cocooner here, 200-pound, beautiful, old school, old cut. Can't find these like this no more. They don't make the machines to cut them like that. 200-pounder. Beautiful. Gonna get his moon bath tonight. Reprogrammed. Bam.
Before noon, before we leave, so it's out.
Yes, then. I'll get all this stuff right here. Yeah, it's Saturday. I got all this moved to the back. And
So all that's out of the way too.
see.
It's my empty stuff. And I got things ready.
It's beautiful.
They did cut the internet today.
Once all this down, the last two guys gone. It's Mama and I. It's a beautiful plasma creation. Straight dirt and ground down glass. Right? Shockwave lamp lights. It's beautiful. Self-organization it does. My box. I'm gonna be building houses and stuff. Off-world, in-world. Anyhow.
You're not listening, so I'm not talking. You can talk to me. You love plants. You have a really good green thumb, right? Mm-hmm. What happened with your plant? If you grab your plant and you put it in a closet, it'll die.
Right? My dark closet house.
Well,
I have a really green thumb.
Well, you have a really green
I
thumb.
make so
But how far are you gonna push it, and what's the kind of life expectancy that you get from that plant? You know what I'm saying? What's its potential?
What's going on?
So what's going on with you?
Oh, just packing the store up, getting ready for the next adventure. We'll continue on it, so all of us can be a part of it still. We'll have everything set up to where you can come up to it.
Oh, really? We're like to get real vitamin D. You know what?
So, you know, you need to.
I'm on distance learning now. For the one person year. For the one person school year.
How do you like it?
He's like, he's home.
Is it different in a sense?
Yeah, trying to like it now here, you know, and finishing on it for the one person school year.
Oh.
Which is like 6 months. And I'm really trying.
And be more on it, you know, maybe like
I don't know why,
if
but
he has the federal funds for different activities,
why
he
can't I
has
go
to
back
do
to
it,
school?
you know,
I don't
or
think
anything else now is really.
It's not just that. There's the
Micah is like
there's
such a
that sickness that's been released.
yeah, he's not a bad person,
So
but like
not a lot of
he
kids
is
are in
so
school
toxic
right
for
now.
me as a person.
Not a lot of kids are in school.
It's not a baby class. I recently finally
think
told
why
him.
would you take
I
opportunities
just
for
told
your
him that.
child
No, I told him
to be with somebody that is toxic?
Hi, baby class. I don't love you anymore. I feel like this whole reason why I've been distancing
So let me
myself,
see.
It finally cleared to me.
From
I
your
don't love you
costume,
anymore, and I can't live in
You
a world
are Jacked Up Pumpkin King?
and I don't love you. Yeah, Kelly. And it's not healthy for Kyle.
I didn't hear the car went by.
It's not healthy
I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, Kelly. Inside a normal home environment, he has to stay in his room all the time, especially when I get home because
You were
I'm just like, go in your room.
You know what?
We fight about it, and then finally now he's just like,
Honestly,
on the couch and he's
Well,
like,
Mama,
I
learning
just can't
sex
deal with
alone
it.
now.
like you need to own your house and love your
I'm learning decimals now.
You're living in decimals now?
I do.
Yeah, I'm learning
decimals.
decimals.
I went out and I went on a walk.
I'm in
last night and I
fifth
saw
grade.
children, and the biggest thing was just
I'm learning how I
getting out
went
of
to a decimal and round
But you can only do it.
I know.
You can only
I had a
do it.
problem with decimals
Stop
until
being complacent.
high school
Stop,
year.
You know, if you
Oh,
recognize
I'm loving it.
that's healthy.
I'm really
if you
smart on
recognize
decimal.
what don't work for you. Don't keep beating
Apparently,
yourself on the
I'm
wall.
really
You know what
smart.
I'm saying?
I've loved
Change
him
your
for
direction.
over 2 years now, and I just fucking
You know
realized
what?
that like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Well, work on self.
Even though I
so
can't
you
do a
know.
public
maybe
for
next
the
time
rest
it
of
won't
the
be
I don't know
school
where
year,
the fuck my mental
basically,
was.
I'm thankful for what I have now.
Well, we all change and grow and see things
I
differently.
guess. I'm wondering if I was already there and just trying to distract myself.
Bring out. Outside, the window doesn't work.
Amanda, whatever you want to manifest in your life, you can do it. You can only do it.
My first manifesting is a way to win you things.
Crazy. That is true. I gotta take the sign down.
For some reason, dude, it sounds like you're more upset than I am every month. I gotta go out and generate it. You got a lot of work over your shoulders and a lot of responsibility. He's gonna be a man.
My little brother Kyle, since my little brother Kyle's mother since she was little. She had a miscarriage this year.
You know, like the loved oneself.
Beautiful Kyle wants to be a doctor, teaching him about Pfeiffer mechanism and chirality to help his lungs. He's ventilator. He's getting stronger. Helping him with the silver and everything. He doesn't have to use that at night.
Right? We're having this conversation from here. You have different topics. You understand what I'm saying? It's being compassionate towards yourself. Kind. Be more kind. Be more kind. Like my Kyle.
She never would what goes on in Crystal Shop.
I think that's why I try not to come here so often, because I feel like I'm using that, not like purposefully, but every time I come here and I try to just connect, you feel me in some way.
Thank you.
But it's mutual, sister.
It is.
I tell you this, our marriage wouldn't have lasted so long if we hadn't have been able to get help from you guys working on our issues as we help you guys with yours.
When I talk to you, I learn myself. I try to apply it. You know, if I'm telling you to be kind, I can turn around and be a beast. You know, so
And
I'm
the same with
Kind of
myself.
like that
myself.
mirror effect thing.
Same with myself. Everything I would always repeat to people, I go, dude, thank you for helping me, because January would be 5 years I've been sober, but this has helped me. Not saying that I had an alcoholism problem, but saying the things that I didn't have the tools to help me, why I would revert back to alcohol. Helping other people, help myself obtain those tools, and living it instead of just and not actually applying it, as I was doing before when I was drinking and telling people, hey, try this, and I was like, all right, well, I started trying it myself, like I was saying with you, and here we are as such. It's been beautiful. Yourself helping us, Kyle, everyone coming together, and again, me and her, we've had rough patches, bad, but we've made it through because of a person like yourself talking with the person, and one of us figures out, and not in a sense puts up the white flag and goes, you know, I quit in this. It's just like, here's another way of us looking at this, and it's because of this person, and it kind of like, for me, it because the way my mind is.
I definitely gained perspective from being around you guys. And I feel that.
I'm happy for us too, and I hope we can share.
Because when I pull that piece of tool out, or she pulls something out, because we're always around each other, unless I'm off working somewhere,
Get in your car.
I see that person's talk. You understand what I mean? Like, I see that person there, and it's like, okay, I gotta check myself. Like, what would this person think if I was sitting here arguing with Maria about this, or yelling, or however much, like acting out of how I was talking about? Because I've learned to see that, be it a little kid or a 7-year-old person or a 9-year-old person, for some reason having this shop. When I was on the streets homeless, like, I was a homeless guy. Now I'm a homeless guy with a crystal shop, but people are looking to me. I can't, in a sense, play that homeless guy, if you understand what I mean. There's nothing wrong with being homeless, but it's feel the character in the sense of what you are, not what someone's projecting out on the outside, if you understand what I mean by that. You know, I had to understand that there was, like you're saying, we helped you. How could I help you if you see me on the street somewhere and I'm fucking talking shit to her, or doing something that is counterproductive to what the crystal shop is? You understand what I mean? Because I live and eat this, and shit it, and breathe it. There's no different. There's not. I used to argue with her when we first started this, going, you can't treat this like a job. Like, don't, because when the store closes, like, you come home and you go, this was a job, and it's like, I'm still trying to talk with you about our conversation we're having right now, because you were involved with it, Maria. Why didn't you put this input if you could have helped this person?
Well, yeah, Kyle, you wake up one day and you tell your mama.
Then it became not like that, or now it's like being a school teacher, and you only get paid for doing the scholastics the next day. That's why we started explaining to people, like, we would notice if we were having an argument or had the issue on our head, how I'd point out, you'd see me do it, where I go, all right, this person's for me or this person's for you, Maria, and here, come be a part of this conversation so that we can work together and move past that. You guys have helped us so much. I mean, that's why I praise and always say thank you guys for letting us be a part of the journey, because
You're not?
again, we wouldn't have this.
You're not going?
We wouldn't have this if it wasn't for you guys. And seeing us, seeing ourselves, like understanding the mirror aspect,
It's not okay.
is reciprocal.
Right?
I have had to teach myself to understand what people are talking about, what she's talking about, when you guys are coming in, like how to respond, how to not respond, like, am I gonna lose my business if I actually be honest? You know what I'm saying? Like, and in holding that integrity of, if I'm honest with you, I have to be honest with the next person. I can't just shy away. I hide something. And I've always kept, like I told her, I can't shy someone away if they're homeless looking. You understand what I'm saying? And that projection. I've never treated anyone that's walking in the store differently, like how we used to get treated when we walk into a place because we're dirty looking. You have that clerk following you around and shit like that. I never did that. That's why I always go in the store. Tell you something. We never used
Can you
cameras.
hold this for me?
This shit's fake.
I'm gonna
We never had a security system. 5 years on this block, we never got stolen.
so you don't have to keep.
And what would we do? Go in the store, we sit outside.
Is that better?
Honesty. It's always been up
I've
front.
seen
No
hella
one's
people in
realized
here and you
that.
guys not even in here at all.
People don't realize that. We never had a security system. We never
Never.
wanted one.
The cameras don't even work.
It's an energetic security system.
Do you understand? We never played or did anything with somebody to where it was like you're gonna steal something, so why project that? This was the
One
main
night,
issue.
the door was open all night.
Several times we left this motherfucker.
Overnight. The whole door was open.
In the other
overnight.
shop
I
and
don't
this
even
one.
trust Marysville like that.
The whole
I know it was accidental.
Yeah, the door was open all night.
Those are
Crazy.
blessings right there.
You understand?
We got like fairies, crystal fairies that protect us. That's what we're talking about, Kyle. Yes.
He's so smart. I'm never sending him back to school in person. I say that, okay, I'll send you back if you want to. When it's safe for you.
No, freedom.
But I'm telling you, in a couple of years, you're going to be living life. You're going to be loving it.
Yeah, Kyle.
You'll have so many other things to do for
You can choose of the
And you'll
things that
be
you
just
want to
as
learn
smart.
on.
You'll be learning.
But yeah, I didn't mean to ramble on forever, but
That you can choose of the things you want to learn on. Like I was telling your mom, the woodworking classes and things like that.
You know what? I want him to be more hands-on with life skills.
I honestly,
Like normal basic life skills that everybody forgets these days.
you know what?
Yeah, like building a house.
You know
Well-
what? Like,
I think that's what's wrong with everybody. They're all on a 9-to-5 job and their bodies weren't made for that.
yeah.
you know what?
What?
You wanna know what like working
I appreciate you guys
The
so
doctor.
much.
I
I really do. And I think about like
always
I do think about how me and Micah probably wouldn't have made it as long if I didn't come and see how you guys, the dynamic between you guys, and learn from that a little bit. And
What?
a doctor.
Yeah, I
It was shocking. I noticed.
sadly, he
said it,
is
Doctor.
not wanting to be as open about spirituality, and he doesn't want to open himself to it. I don't know what he's afraid of. He's just not there. He's so solidified.
That's cool when I come up.
I just can't help him anymore. He's on a different plane than I am. If that makes sense.
If it's the work, then it's the work. If not, you can't force anybody.
Well,
Otherwise,
I think
it will
I
cause.
feel humble about it, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I helped him, and now it's time for us to do our thing, and I love him a lot. I wouldn't have got with him if I didn't love him more than everything. Every man I've ever loved. But
think you
it's
can
time
do
for
whatever
everything
you
to move on. I need to love myself more for Kyle and for myself.
You're
And
strong
for
and powerful.
Micah. Maybe one day there'll be a future, but for now,
What?
we're hurting each other. And we're not even fighting like we were. It's just not healthy. During the calm, it's tense, and Kyle doesn't get to be a part as much as I feel like he should, and it's just unhealthy. And I can say that, you know, a lot of people, they think because there's not fighting going on, it's healthy. But that's not true. There's
No,
also
there's no
unhealthy vibes that emit constantly, and I can't live around it anymore. I've been absorbing it and trying to transmute it for so long. I just realized that's what's been going on.
How did they say it? Because I used to have to explain to Maria what she was doing.
I know nobody has really seen anybody.
Was
You're not
passive aggressive.
You know what? I have
Passive aggressive stuff.
I get passive aggressive too.
I was doing it vice versa, but then I was noticing she was doing it with me more than I would, which would make me
in Marysville.
be aggressive or and I'm like yelling and I'm
So
like,
much, Micah. It's almost the same dynamic. I'm aggressive, but I toned mine down a lot, and it's still very. He won't open up.
Can you
Whenever
call
he
him?
does, he tells me everything he needs to tell me about what's wrong, but like, and what I'm doing that I need to change, but it
Not
doesn't
himself.
recover after that, even when I change.
not himself. You can't be just one way.
And that's not all.
Maybe
I
send him
thought
a
to
drawing or
himself,
a letter. Send it on the mail.
whatever you
Send
want to
him
call it.
a letter or a
He
postcard.
cheated on me before. When he sent me money to move out here, I found out he cheated on me before I got here.
And you
While
know
he was
what?
messaging me, telling me he loved me. And so that
You
was
can come
the
in,
thing.
Kyle. I just gotta
I
do this.
accepted that. I moved past it. I realized he's young and, you know, and then it happened again.
Yes,
after
Kyle.
I was scared. And I was pregnant. We have so much, me and my dad, history. Most recent thing was my pregnancy.
Walk away.
He went and did something after all of that was said and done.
Go
I
away.
know he did.
Because myself, I was a dirtbag. I had was on my ex-wife, drinking and everything, drinking and drugging. I was a dirtbag, I will say that. While she was pregnant, while I was here, we weren't together like you guys. I mean, we were together, but she was in Maryland and I was here.
Yeah.
Doesn't make an excuse, but I'm just stating we weren't laying in the same bed. You know what I'm saying? I had given her STD because I messed with someone just before I went back east. When I left from the park for good, the last time you'd seen me. I gave her chlamydia. Didn't realize it until she was pregnant with our youngest daughter. And anyhow, from not working on myself and other things, don't compromise yourself like that, my woman, please. Don't. I never worked on myself until me and Maria got together, and I explained to her all the dirtbag shit that I did and so forth, and she explained to me the stuff that she did. She pretty much was a male me.
Yeah.
Scorpios!
Very lack of self-love too.
Yes, and I think
lot.
that's a Scorpio trait sometimes.
Yeah.
That was the main thing that.
Especially if you know, like that.
Oh, it's okay. They always come and say hello to me. I'm highly allergic to them, but from working with the plasma and so forth, for some reason,
I connected with the bees when I did DMT.
if you talk with them, they'll help you. They always come and say hello. Ever since I first used to sit out there, and I gave them some of my plasma water.
Oh no.
I always get nervous. Yeah. I never wanted to get nervous.
They come and say hello.
It's just the very last is so fun.
But Mama, don't. Give yourself work so you pass it to him, so it's not passed to the babies. Don't compromise yourself in that sense.
Because you're
Walk through
cheating
the
on.
trash. Watch where you're
Because you're cheating on yourself ultimately. Nobody cheating, but that is a reality. But you're cheating on yourself because I'm not the, listen, I'm not the one that would say she shouldn't be walking with those shorts, you know, because otherwise she gets raped. But at the same time, why is she walking with those shorts? No, but not that is the way that one carries oneself and overshares oneself. The other person feels entitled to treat you with the same coin you're treating yourself. So it all starts with self-love. Do you understand what I'm saying? Love yourself to where whatever you're doing that. That's the yeah. You know, because then if not, people be like, okay, you don't care for yourself. I'll be with you, but I won't care for yourself either.
No, okay, so me not being self-aware has been a big issue, and part of me realizing I don't love Micah anymore is me realizing I was attracted to somebody else, and I was like, why is this happening? And and I found it really like.
But is that, excuse me.
Like a deep soul
But when
connection,
you're
not a
doing that,
physical
but
connection.
when you're doing that, understand this. When Maria was inattentive when we first got together and I still drank, I projected out, told her about my ex-wife and our marriage, so forth. But the two conditions that we had, I told her, self-respect. Respect yourself, and the other was that we weren't gonna mess around. She thought there was an issue because we wouldn't mess around. I told her I wouldn't do such because I seen in her that she wouldn't open up to me. This took 8 years. Hold on, 9 years for this woman to start opening up about her issues. You understand? Her issues. Me, I blabbed it out. I have no idea what I said to her because I was inebriated. But when she acted like she didn't want to be a part, I would start thinking about my ex-wife and my kids. Now, in my inebriation, I partly ignored that. She could tell, but I knew she could tell. And here later, I talked to her. I said, you notice that when we were going through those things, dude, I projected out, like, if we're going through this,
Why would I be doing this when I could be doing this with my ex? And my kids next to me. She said, yeah, I understand. It's that same instance. If you're doing such and someone sees something, the relationship changes. If you're with someone all the time, you can tell if someone's not 100% in. You understand what I'm saying? So if at that time that you were doing such, I'm not blaming you at all. I'm just saying, at that time that you were doing such, could you notice if he was doing such? Because you guys started a spiral dance with each other where it's like, I wish I was with this guy, but I'm with this fool. And I wish I was with this girl, but I'm with this one. And here we are making this dance. And as I told her, I'd rather spit my hand and masturbate than masturbate with you. I'd rather make love. If we're not gonna make love and just masturbate, then I just do your friend. Because I don't want to have a baby and lose another child. Be baby number 4, baby number 5. It took for me. Because we were children and chose to masturbate with each other than get to know each other. You understand what I mean? That was my worst for it. She was like, what are you talking about? I was like, no. If I was inebriated, we were intimate. If I wasn't, no. And then it got to where I stopped drinking. And I explained to her, you gotta stop. And I noticed, okay, because I'm not being with you, but I have this issue where I'm watching twerk videos. And she's like, what are you doing watching this? I noticed the job she took. She gained like 40 pounds. Got to where it looked like her eyes were smiling. I didn't care because my mom was big. I like big women. So I got on her and when she got down to this side, what's wrong with you? People were like, is your wife sick? Is your wife sick? And it's like, she's not sick. I stopped drinking. I stopped looking at this shit. I stopped projecting all this stuff. We stopped mirroring each other and these issues that we had. You know what I'm saying? She lost 70 pounds. I don't look at this stuff. We're able to be intimate when we wish to be. But intimate, not masturbate. You tell yourself you need some help. Do such, but I'm not trying to be a part of that. I have this. I wish to use that for this creative energy. Go create that energetics in a different way. Otherwise, again, if you start thinking you're in a relationship and you see somebody, but you're thinking about someone else, you can telegraph that. You know, if you're not wise.
I told my husband because he has already been unfaithful to me. I can't be dishonest.
Then why are you with? Why? If you're honest.
Because I gave up everything to be with him. I wanted to. This feeling that I felt was so pure in my mind that I loved him, and then when he reciprocated that, I went to it, and I feel.
Then why during it?
I feel like I didn't want to leave because if there was still something there, then I left that behind. But now I feel in the change that was all necessary. I needed to feel all of that, and I did do this to myself. I keep blaming. For a long time, I blamed him for me leaving my fucking house behind that my dad bought me. Kyle's only stable place. But it took a lot for me to finally accept that I walked away from that. Nobody else did. In fact, they tried to tell me not to. And I didn't listen because love. And it's been a big eye-opener. I do need to get away from him, especially when he told me that he doesn't believe in any of my spiritual stuff, and he's literally just been putting up with it to be there for me. Which I appreciate that. That does take a lot for somebody who doesn't believe in it to be there for someone and support them like that.
Yes.
But at the same time, it limits them, and I feel like
limits them, but it doesn't just limit them, it limits your family.
it just hurts because I know that there is way more, and there's energetic everything. Everything is fluid, everything is energy. And he thinks I'm full of shit, and that's why I say he's so solidified I can't do it anymore. I can't be around him because he's stagnating me.
Then why have it? Okay.
I am. I applied for Mary Mead Place over there at East Marysville.
Maria.
She's not fun. I'm trying to get out of here.
Maria. Oh, she's talking to us.
When we and her first got together, I asked her because when my first daughter's mother, she left me when I became a Sufi. She was atheist. Her family on her dad's side
Pearsons, Pearsons Hill is a church. Family's preachers. How you be atheist, right? Why would you be an atheist? Well, why would you be an atheist and leave the man that had a child with you because the man wants you to fucking stop eating pork because 2 Corinthians states such, right? When I came bald, all that, doing the Sufi thing and all that shit, is when I had my daughter. And one was split from me because of it, right? Heather's family, when she came home with herself, she became Muslim. Sufi Muslim is different. Her parents took our kid, our son, would cut his hair and I'd get pissed off because our son wanted dreadlocks like us. I started these locks back when I was with Heather. She had dreadlocks. Her master's in cultural anthropology. Dreadlocks ain't just because Rob's farted. She was trying to show her parents so forth. But her dad come at me with some, why our grandson look like a bohemian? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why don't you take him to a salon so that his hair looks nice like your guys'? And I'm like, I've never been to a salon, dude. This is natural locks like the Abrahamic faith shows in the Bible and so forth. Anyhow, to make long story short, arguing with these people because they made her step away from Islam, which she joined. I was doing it with her, I had a friend and so forth. We did the stuff. It causes issues in the house. Because I went to prison, I wasn't there, she worked, grandparents are there, our sons getting to church. I can't say anything. I'm not against church, but it's just like, what is in our house? What do you believe? You understand? It's like being raised in my household. My stepdad was an atheist but believed in reincarnation. I was like, you can't be an atheist and believe in reincarnation. That's just ass backwards. You're stupid for that. I'm not trying to knock you, sir, but you're dumb on that if you believe that you and my mom, she was the guy last time and you were the female, and now you guys reincarnated. Something had to create you, stupid. You know what I'm saying? So that was my upbringing in my house. So when me and Maria got together, I explained to her, what's your background, what's your religion? What's your way of life? Not just structured, organized religion, but how are you raised in your house? Because I wish to have a conversation with you like I tried to have with my ex-wife. If we have a child, what are we going to raise the baby with? We're going to let the child come in the world with his own and show us? Or are we going to domesticate the child? But what are we domesticating the child with? Your religion from what you was raised with, or my religion? Maria! Your religion or my religion, right? Whose religion? Mine or yours, or like, Maria's never read the Bible. So it's like, what's your religion? But yet when we're locked up, her mother travels halfway to the other side of the Argentina to go see a dead preacher to do prayer for us, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what do you guys believe in? Because what were you raised with? Because you're from upper prestige and you were raised by midwives and all that shit like that. What did they indoctrinate you with? Because what are you going to pass to our kid?
Dimension.
Okay, if I do this, because she got me back on my deen, or back into Islam. She's been studying this. If you're going to follow this, but not saying like Heather did, where she joined Islam. I'm Sufi Gnostic. It's different. Different. You understand? The mystic. I believe in nature. Wahhabis kill me. My ex-wife joined Wahhabism because she didn't understand when I was trying to ask her, what do you believe in? Do you believe in just the wind? Witchcraft? Whatever? That's Islam. That's the Abrahamic faith. If you don't study into it, then you do these things and you get put in a box. And all of a sudden now you're da-da-da-da, and we're arguing like politics and religion in the house. As she explained to me.
2 billion years ago.
So,
We have dinosaurs.
I'm more.
And we fly in rooms.
Stuff for a lot.
And unicorns.
When we first got together,
Excuse me, what?
what was my conversation with you? Because asking about how were you raised? What's your religion? What was the household culture? Because I explained to you my ex-wife and my oldest daughter's mother's family. When she got to meet, she's talking with Ted and everybody, and we're like, how did you get with this woman? Ran away from home in Sacramento, give her a preacher's son, who just sits in front of the yard and works all day. Well, how
And
you
the
have,
lady sits inside,
how you
gets
have
fat,
three
and watch
daughters?
TV.
How you have 3 daughters that emulated mom?
Do nothing but their hair and their
And then the
nails.
granddaughter did the same thing. That's
In
my
the
daughter.
mountains, it's like,
And do the same thing to where dad states,
grandpa states that it's okay. Anyhow, I'm venturing away, but that's that religious thing on how do you feel. So that's why I asked her, what religion do you follow? What are we going to raise? Because if we have a child, I follow this. I was raised this way, but I follow this. And if we're going to be together and have a kid, if you get me back on my dean where I don't smoke, I don't do anything, this is how we're going to live. Not by my choice, by your choice, because you have a child and we're learning together. And you're teaching the baby, because the baby's getting sustenance from you, just like I'm getting sustenance from you, because you're the provider. Not that she cooks all the time or whatnot, but I enjoy her cooking, but I see it as she's giving me sustenance, so I see it as such. That kind of thing has been caused a problem where it was like, hey, what do you believe in, what do you believe in, what do you believe in for the first 2 or 3 years of our life, because it was like she would shine things on. It seemed like she was doing like Mike, but not. It's just like I was saying in the shop. It was like you're shining people on. Why don't you apply what we're telling people and live it and you'll see you'll feel better. You understand?
I was just very much of like a people pleaser.
I felt like Heather was doing what Mike honestly explained to you, or Erica honestly explained to me. She was doing that to me, and that's why I got myself put in a coma. When we first met, and I would just go, tell a person who's wrong, and a pickle jar for a couple $100. And she's over here trying to sell her stuff, and she didn't understand. I'm trying to talk to Mike and explain. This is Mike. 8 years ago. Mike. 8 years ago. Or I'm literally making videos. I'm literally.
Gives you hope if you want hope or
But that
not.
no, but that's if you choose.
If you choose.
We put hands on each other.
Oh yeah, we used to be toxic.
We put hands on each other, but we didn't have a child. And there was no child. This was our child, created, and finally had to again when we came together. Hey, how do you wish if we have a baby? Where do you want to teach it?
You found Crystal there?
This is our baby. You know what I'm saying?
I see them.
This is what you guys
Have
have
you
taught
picked
us,
them
because
up
it's
and
like,
look at
who
them
do
in
we
the
allow
sun?
the babies
They're
around?
really
Who's watching
special.
our kid?
I don't think you ever
You
seen
understand?
something like that before.
My oldest daughter didn't
It's
get
worth
watched by my
picking it
mom
up.
because my issue with my mother and I, my mom's not, you?
And go to the window.
No, Eric, you're not leaving our daughter
look
with
at it on
my
the
mom.
sun.
If you have an issue with my mom, how she raised me, you can let the woman that you don't like raise the baby, you fucking stupid? No, I'm against it. That's how I am. Do you understand?
That makes sense.
Standards.
Standards, you gotta keep pushing.
Standards.
But you
don't
gotta
set
live
for
with
anything
it, because
else.
the thing that makes me throw up sometimes is my solar plexus, that shit stays on my head, but as an adult, because you gotta live with the adult choice.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Don't fall victim.
From the start. Don't
Shit
just
ain't
know.
happening to you.
Just you make the choice to live with it.
Yep.
But with that religious thing, though, that's the thing that our issue with her is, it was like, hey, this shit ain't fake. Off the gate. I'm showing her stuff, we're doing the same like this, but she's like, oh, you know. And I'm just thinking, you're hearing me on, so I explained to her, I'm gonna get put to sleep, and we'll wake up together. If not, I'm away from you.
We were like universes apart. Like universes
I
apart.
gotta get away from you. Because,
You're gonna end up getting me killed, or we're just gonna kill each other.
mhm.
He was like driving down the street telling like state workers, deport this woman, take
Because
her.
you're illegal.
Like, take her, she's illegal. And I'm
Being
thinking
serious.
to myself, like,
That's
you have no
kinda like,
family.
I don't want
I'm
to kill
alone
that
in this.
Being serious.
Amanda, I'm like literally alone in my country. What kind of self-worth do I have that I keep riding on the same seat with the person that want to throw me out the boat? What kind of self-love do I have? I never had the self-worth of saying, see, you're fucking nuts. He's like, are you enjoying this? Yeah. My dad never told me you go into your room, but he would always set that tone at night, you know, that is like unpleasant. Just unpleasant. We're all unpleasant. My mom ain't enjoying herself. Nobody's enjoying themselves. It's just like an under subtle tone that is like, yeah. You found the sunstones?
Just now.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, John.
Otherwise, it says something to
I'm like, what the fuck?
What I do, y'all? But that's now you're sober. What did I do? She didn't respond. I have a little alcohol in my system. I take it as if you're talking to me like my mom would. And then we're both teching. It's like, oh shit. You only take that so
These
much.
is my very, very favorite.
Unless you get into it.
Since I stopped drinking like a year ago, and he's tried so hard to get me drinking. Since I confessed all of my feelings about how I feel very stagnated and I don't feel on the same path as him, and I confessed about having an attraction to somebody else, and that's weird for me because, you know, when I open it, and he's like just tried to he's bought like 4 bottles of really expensive champagne and tried to get me to drink
look at it in
them
the sun.
to the point where he's wasted the champagne and I won't drink it.
And pick up the other ones too.
And
They're all
like I told
different.
you, I don't want a glass of that.
I left them out there for a reason.
One drink it, and then he doesn't drink it, and I'm like, I'm just like, he's trying to make me
You know his
fall
background?
back asleep.
You know his background? Did you guys get together?
I've learned so much in the last
You guys
year.
get together in a codependent like super bind like we did?
Kind of, yeah, his background is not healthy, and I found something out about him in his childhood or adolescence that doesn't mesh with me at all, and I really want to get away from him. But yes, he's very negative background. More negative than mine.
Are you just waiting to see if that housing works and that would be like your part up?
I'm about to start applying everywhere. I'm about to lower my standards and move into a different apartment, hopefully with the yard. I'm gonna project that I want a yard.
To be out and
For
doing,
Kyle to be
yeah,
outside.
maybe doing homework outside too.
Another thing that really stuck out was he does this PE online, they get on this video chat and they send a basket of stuff for like his for him and they do their thing and she's like, Kyle, did you play the pool this summer? And for obvious reasons, like at first I was like, well that's a stupid question to ask my son, knowing his problem. But then I thought about it and it makes sense, like I would have a kiddie pool or something for him to play in.
Even like a
And
sitting
he
on
was
the
like,
stairs,
no, I
yeah.
don't get to do anything because we live in an apartment and that was like,
You could do different,
I could do better. I could do so much better, and I've been just staying put to make somebody else happy. And I'm not okay with that.
yeah.
And I'm not okay with being there if it was just me. Like, why am I staying there? You know? I'm like, I have all these tarot cards, and I stopped reading my fucking tarot cards for a long time because they all just told me I need to be independent. And what am I fucking doing here? Still. And I was like,
But it's not the cards, it's yourself
no, it
telling
is.
you.
Well, they don't predict nothing. They just leave like windows for you to reflect yourself.
Yeah, so it's yourself
So
telling
that's
you.
why I was eventually like, fuck what these cards are telling me. And then that was a message in itself for me because like I got all this stuff to tell me, these tools to tell me what my intuition is telling me, and then I'm not gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
You know? That's a
Well,
big
that's
red
when you need
flag.
to take a little step back.
I thought I did. I thought I was, and then the fucking cloudy glasses are removed, and I see it all clearly again. And I feel like it's not even clearly yet, but like I'm starting to see it more clearly. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and to those thoughts, they're gonna be followed by action, and then you'll
That's
be
the
manifesting,
catalyst.
yeah, then
I
you'll
can
be
sit here
manifesting a
and wanna
different
move
reality.
and wanna be different and wanna be independent, but if I sit here and still do the same exact things and what do you want for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
You know?
No, set it in motion. You're like, okay, I feel like what I told my husband, I didn't even know the pandemic was gonna happen. It was like,
I did. Me and Jennifer were buying fucking masks in December for some reason.
Well, no,
I was
I'm
like,
talking,
"Let's buy masks."
no, I'm talking before
She's like,
that.
"Oh."
I'm saying
Oh, yeah.
before that. It
Well,
was
it
like,
didn't happen before that,
well,
but-
yeah, I know it started way back, but it was October and we were standing outside and I told my husband, by June next year, I'll be out of the house. And he was like, don't kick us out of the house yet, we're not ready, we don't have power. I said, by June next year, you coming not, I don't care, I'll pay rent down in that house, but I can't be in a house anymore.
And you said that.
And I just had that. Amanda, from that day on, every day, he thought I was nuts. Day on, every day, I would go to grocery outlet, get food, and then I get boxes from there, right? In my food, like reusable boxes.
All your stuff.
Every day.
Something-
I wake up in the morning with my morning coffee and my
so weird that
conversation.
you said that because for the last 2 days, Kyle's been asking me for cardboard, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to give him the cardboard to craft with because I want to pack my shit.
Every day with my
In
morning
my
coffee,
mind.
I was waking up, I'm packing the books, I'm packing this, I'm packing that, so I'll be ready. That was my conversation. Instead of sitting and drinking my coffee and be like, I'm so frustrated, I don't want to be here no more, this couch is sucking me in. No, I changed
I
it.
swear you're telepathic.
But that's how you get your gears in motion, turning your wheels. You don't have to already have the house waiting for you. No, you starting that conversation. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. That's your yeah. Yeah, you are manifesting it, and you are telling the universe, I'm not gonna wait for somebody to move me.
Yes.
You know, I'm doing it, okay? I'm lighting the energetics. And then
I
get rid of all the
tell
shit.
myself I'm not doing it for a man because every time I've made changes happen, it's been for a man.
No,
For some reason.
you gotta do it for yourself. You gotta do it for yourself.
Hey mom, look at
I
my
think because
phone.
the way I grew up, I thought I always need to have the missing piece to make the family complete. But I'm realizing that small time that I was in Kansas alone without a man, me and Kyle had such a healthier relationship. We played board games, we went on drives in the countryside. You know, I'm still not spiritually where I am now, but like it was becoming apparent to me that I didn't want to be religious in the Christian sense. Like I wanted to explore and learn, and I don't know. I think that it'd probably be best for me and Kyle to be alone away from my dad overall. I would like to use the energy to go back and make it work. Tell her. Yeah. You like that, huh? We have some sunstone like that at home if you want.
Hey, you know what? I have never seen a light bulb like that.
Oh no, I bet you never seen a light bulb like that.
It's funny.
Because my husband made it. The light bulb is a jar, but this is a healing tool. If you want to hold it,
Be careful with some.
it'll just make you feel really calm. You can have your mom.
I'm
hold it.
sad. This is the only part of downtown Marysville that I like.
Yeah. I really have
I'll probably
no
never
reason.
drive down this street anymore.
I have no reason to come back into Marysville.
For reals, though.
Oh, Amanda,
This
it's so beautiful,
you
so
guys
beautiful.
did so good for this town.
Hold it. It will heal you.
It'll heal you. That's right, Kyle. It'll help you heal.
You know, I close your eyes and let it heal you. I know you.
Well, Kyle,
What?
where do you see yourself?
What?
Where would you like to live?
Where am I? Where am I? Asking me like
Yeah. He likes architecture and like I think if he learned a little bit of like he's gonna start doing geometry soon. He's gonna be really,
Mechanical drafting and things like
yeah,
that.
he's gonna be really into it. 'Cause
Yeah,
he
where
likes
do you like to
architecture.
live? Where we need? You like tiny houses?
I do, actually.
No, I don't.
You don't.
I like two-story houses.
I think maybe after
Like
we
my
move and he's
hands
outside
are
for a little bit more than he has been this year, he'll be different about that.
You know
I
what?
think he'd be more open to a tiny house once he's more outside.
You don't like a little loft in the tiny house? You can have your bed up there. Your mom can have the bed on the other side. You can talk to each other at night. No? Too much work, huh?
We would be forced to interact all the time.
And I kind of like.
Kyle's like, I like that.
I kind of like fun once in a while.
Oh, you you surprised me, son.
I like to call him.
He's been surprising me lately.
Oh, Kyle. Life is great, huh?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not really not lying. I can like to call him.
Oh, Amanda, do you want some candles?
Sure.
There's these candles that the people had left a while back, and they never really had a use for them.
Can I look up here?
Is this? Oh, these ones are
I
really
have
burnt.
like
I don't know if you want the jar. Do you want to use the jar now?
sure.
It's burnt the candle, but that's a nice jar for
Yeah, you can put back there. When they had that fire over on Simpson Lane not long ago, all the power went out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have these witch candles, but they, I don't have enough candle holders to put them all in.
Oh,
around
there.
the
Then
house.
use these containers too. These won't burn your house down. Maybe we can get you the box.
Oh,
Here, Carl. You want to be a doctor? This is gonna be your Bible.
Oh goodness, Kyle, can you read that? Read
Grey's
the
Anatomy.
first.
That's literally like the Bible
Yeah,
of doctors.
Grey's Anatomy. Anatomy. Oh.
Grey's Anatomy.
And that's what that show is named after that Mama's obsessed over forever.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm afraid to watch that because I don't want to bring the hospital into my life.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or anything, but like, I'm weird.
can learn
and
about yourself.
I think weird shit.
That's a person's throat.
Oh.
Their neck. The whole part right here. So you can learn about yourself. It has cool pictures too. You can sit down and learn about the bones. The eye. That's how your eye is built. You see? The muscles that.
Everything is so symbolic lately of change.
This is your heart.
I had another shop I like to go to in Grass Valley, the witch shop up there, the Cult of Gemini. Just for like witchy
Are they
vibes.
closed
I
too?
never even bought anything really there, just never very
Did
anything.
they
I just like
close?
to go be up there. Yeah, they closed all the way.
They do?
And the thing is, it was called Cult of Gemini and they closed in Gemini season and you guys are closing in Scorpio season.
And we're Scorpios?
Yeah. It's weird.
There's change.
There's a lot of change
A lot
happening.
of change.
And it's deeper than just, you know, the outside messages, I think. It's a real change happening in the world. Hopefully for the fucking better.
I trust. I trust it's for the better.
I think so. I love you, son.
Hey mom, mommy is good. Who's tired? Mommy is good. Who's tired?
Over there, son.
What? I don't even know what's there, Top.
He's like, there's more science experiments.
Yeah, that's my husband.
Oh.
He has like a room just for his experiments. What are you guys off to doing today? What else?
Yeah, we're gonna go to the store and get a pumpkin for him, and then I gotta grab some pumpkin pie stuff.
Oh, for carving? You gonna carve the pumpkin, Kyle?
And you know what?
And I want to cook the seeds.
I want to tell you a
I'm gonna take this to the car. Kyle, he's dressed up in an old costume. We decided to not do Halloween. And he said he wasn't gonna dress up. But then I was like, let me get your old costume out and let me see
Beautiful. I think it's Jonah's birthday present.
Oh, it's your Virginia school, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This question Jason.
Well, you know, if you don't want it, then we're gonna pass it up.
What's up, brother?
That's the other day.
You think
Oh.
that's too big?
For your birthday.
Cool. Silverwater? Thanks, brother.
You're gonna be having different rules.
You guys can still come around.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
It's tall enough for Barbie dolls.
All right, okay, good.
We could paint
I
it
gotta
for a
get
boy or like a
everything
normal
ready
house.
for little brothers like that to get up there.
Thank
so
you,
we can
guys.
Get out in the forest.
You're welcome. I'm gonna have to go up there and check it out, man.
He doesn't have to use his ventilator at night anymore. I'm super happy.
Heck
Little
yeah.
man doesn't have to use that. Shit, man. I will.
Get money out?
you can come on this side, you'll stay on this side.
You'll be in the forest.
Yeah, the adventure in the forest, you better have a jacket, probably we're getting snow here soon.
Kyle likes the forest.
You're more than welcome, Kyle.
You don't remember her frog outside? I think you remember it.
Who's that guy?
I was doing that with you guys not right here. I was just telling Maria this was my favorite part of Marysville.
Mine too. Mine too. Oh, we're closed now. I'm sorry. If you check us out online. Online. Unfortunately, it has to be online until we get completely reset back up. I have a business card up here. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your weekend.
You too. See if you guys really kind of puts it all into perspective for me. What? That thing right there? Oh, the scale? Yeah, that's it.
Old school mail still? You got breaks it down to the decimals for you, brother.
Yeah, he's really good at math. Yeah, I'm way better than I am. I let him know I didn't take the extra exam because I didn't get that far in school.
Huh.
All right, you guys.
It's important to feed your
Yeah, we
brain.
gotta get on our way. We're busy. We don't want to keep them from doing what they gotta do.
So,
Thank you for
here's one for me.
Thank you for the quick okay. We like to be around you, and I'm such a hermit. That's why we never come out.
Oh no, our first Halloween we gave out crystals.
Thank you, Kyle, for stopping by. It really made my day.
Sorry, I didn't think about that, honey. We could have
I'm
done
glad
that.
I seen somebody in here when I drove by because I wasn't going to stop. I didn't see anybody in here.
We could have did that, Maria. Bagged up all the
Stand
crystals.
outside and give crystals away.
Yeah, hand out all the crystals that were in the kids section
You
for
guys have a
Halloween.
good holiday. And I'll get a hold of you soon.
Dude, I know you're always liking me on Instagram.
I think about you all the time. I really do.
The last closing day is on Halloween, dude. I
In
could
fact-
have
See
given
you
out
soon,
all the
Kyle.
crystals for free for
Alright.
the kids.
You make it happen,
I know.
okay?
But
Make
you
it happen.
guys gotta not overextend yourself. Thank you.
Something out.
I know that you guys don't look at it that way, but like,
The more you give out, the more you get, man.
I get that.
The more you give, you'll have so much you can't even like.
Our first
Know what to do with it.
for Halloween was we gave out crystals. We only had 3 head parents that were like, wait a minute, line. Because the line was
Now,
always
Candy,
the stop
There
sign.
was 3 people that said something like that.
No.
Now,
Three
you
people.
wanted-
There was 3 people that said something like that, but there was one parent that I
felt bad for the kid. His child, good baby, little baby. I stood in line for this like this. Took the crystal from the child's hand and threw it back in the thing. And walked off. I said, wow. I didn't understand that one. That hurt my heart. It hurt my heart. But it opened up. It opened up to where like maybe we had about 10 parents come back when we were doing the wire wrapping. And the kids, because they got a crystal. That's why I did it, to see if they come back or they do something where the parents could do something with their kids. Do some art or something. Hey,
I don't think enough
we
people do
thank
art
y'all
with their kids.
because there's no point in us.
I
doing
think
this
that's
because
more
we-
important than school sometimes, is doing crafts with your children and teaching them.
That's why we had Thursday night kids night.
I regret never being Kyle yesterday and the stuff you guys put out.
Thursday night kids night, and it wasn't for the kids, it was for the kids to be able to talk to their parents.
We can do more
You know
classes.
what I'm saying?
Just gotta make
Now we're gonna do it in nature though.
There's so many babies that would see stuff, and the parents would just shine them on. And then when you open the kids up and ask them, hey, you see this one, you see this, they're like, yeah. Well, you weren't able to talk to your grandparents, were you? Or to their grandparents, to the parents, you know what I'm saying? To the parents' parents, not just the grandparents. So it's huge. So your sickness you got isn't because you're sick, just because you never had someone to talk to. So you turn that into express, right? That energetic form debilitates the chakra, turns into a physical illness. But it's not that you're actually sick, you just didn't have somebody to talk with. You keep opening up showing it. Hey, I got to give too, but you said wanting to snuff out the light. You didn't get to express it. You did so much with so many people. I did it with my own kids. And it's like that. So I always like, that's why I said that honesty. If I'm honest with you, I gotta be honest with another person that comes in. Because if I don't, then that third person I'm not being honest with is myself. You know what I'm saying? And I start going backwards. It's like, oh, I can't do that. That's why we're not opening in another shop, because the only other places that are open are the people we started renting from. You understand? Like I said, the Marine, when I first got wind of this, I said, we can't go backwards. Otherwise, it's let's stand together, honey, in a messed up relationship, and what do our kids get out of it? That was literally what I said to her.
That makes so
Because the
much
only
sense.
thing that was open was down the street, back where we was at, written from the original dude that got us from our first, not me, but rented to Maria. And we didn't open for 3 months because it was, you rent to it as is,
And you guys had to
had to
fix
build it
that
up
shit up.
and all that shit. And it was like, dude, you never got caught.
Didn't get anything.
You never got to get the store to pass fire inspection.
Oh.
I switched to 317. I don't have credit. It was just a gift of God. Let me speak to this little Chinese lady, and her husband, rest in peace, that died. That's what she come back, because she used to do tarot. She goes, the only person in my life that I've ever remembered her name. Your name is Robert, huh? And I was like, yeah. She was like, Spirit told me, because what you guys are trying to do will rent to you. I didn't think we'd get that shot, because the other people, we did the show with 3 other people. The people pull up an Escalade and shit like that. I was like, look like this. I was like, babe, we ain't getting that. Like, personally walked over and was like, your name's Robert? I was like, yeah. Can you guys do this, this, this? I had to show them my report, my credit thing. Like, credit score 0. I owe all this money, but it's not that I owe companies. I owe from being drunk, hospital bills, drunk in public. I was like, none of those actually work on my credit. Here, I'll explain to you this. It's me drunk. They're like, do you drink anymore? I was like, no. Like, I just stopped like a month ago, but...
Have faith in me.
Right.
Yeah.
Have faith in me. Just
And
somebody
they
give me a
did,
chance.
and that's all it took.
Somebody give me a chance and I'll show you people like fucking.
And that's what I'm telling you, the housing, you get out there, you meet people face to face. You know, like Carl got that house, $650
I
for
didn't mind
rent.
driving. There's places
$650
in
in the
Dobbins.
mountains.
Dobbins Challenge. There's a place in Dobbins, I don't know if it's still open. It was $500 for a studio.
What?
There's Carl that's above us.
A friend of ours
I
is-
need to stop looking on fucking Craigslist.
There's
get out and talk to people.
There's a person just above us. We know the gentleman from stopping for the apples that we'd have baskets of.
I'm not even gonna lie. I would like having
You understand?
you guys in my community instead of all these fucking asleep
We
Marysville
We
people.
met this gentleman by stopping to get apples. And I was like, honey, we're in the wrong area for you to just be doing that because your husband looks like me. Don't just, let's not. As we're doing that, when we still had our flyer that was on the side of the car that said, got crystals, it got Carl's attention because he's like, got crystals. I got crystals because he has a gold mine like that.
All right.
And so we started talking. And his eyes are messed up, so
Just
we
get
gave
out
him
and
tea.
talk to people.
Crazy thing is, I went to
It helps
school with
him?
it. No, crazy thing is, I went to school with his kids.
Oh, really?
His son died in a mining accident, but I went to school with his son.
Yeah.
This was crazy. So I was having nightmares about it. Maria and Carl and Linda, the wife, are talking. I started talking to her about it and explaining to her, and I give the mother, Crystal, and I tell her about my dream. She stopped having nightmares and all this shit, problems she was having about her son. It was a trip. When I went to jail for that 10 days, one time only I've ever left my gate open. I left it open, and she was like, "What did you do that for?" I said, "Because I got visitors coming." Carl's wife drive up. I handed my keys. He goes, "What are you doing that for?" And I said, "Because I'm going to jail on Monday." He goes, "You're tripping. It's Friday." I said, "I'm going to jail on Monday, and I need you to help my wife when you bring the trailer up." Because Lando gave us a trailer, and he towed up for us. Oh, you built it? No, dude.
Oh, yeah?
I'm just following along with Spirit showing me I had this dream. I'm not trying to go against it. Monday I'll be in jail, dude. Like, will you do it for me, please? So he goes, stuff there. But he has property, like right across the street. Good people. And then the people that we got the apples from, we just met them. Maria. Maria.
This one.
The cord.
The cord.
And the box.
I wouldn't think that the people that we stopped at met that owned the apple place.
Yeah.
Probably renters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're people too. Well, they're selling the whole property.
I know they're selling it, but I'm saying they probably rent.
It's a whole complex of tiny little houses
Oh, really?
Next to Carl.
next to the
Carl's
$650 house that I'm telling you about, that I literally asked him like 2 weeks ago. Because our son-in-law, they're looking for a
Stop
house
rapping.
too, but they don't
Right
wanna,
up.
but they don't wanna rent up there. I was asking for my son-in-law, but they don't wanna rent up there because our daughter works in Rockland, so she would have a 2-hour drive to go to work.
Oh, yeah.
But he wouldn't ask them for credit, he wouldn't ask them for, it's just like a human being that would rent you know, just like that.
Hey, if you can do it, or you don't mind the
Oh,
drive.
right,
I
let's
don't
go.
mind the drive at all. We go up there all the time. We're up there in Bridgetown all the time. And she has no money whatsoever for the brain injury. I'm just like, it's probably best for her not to be in the city with the brain injury.
Yeah.
You'll be running a chain, son. How do you feel about that? Cutting wood, making boards, shelves, building
Watch
stuff.
your steps, son.
You wanna build stuff with me, Kyle? We're gonna learn together, because we have no clue.
Because I have to do everything like a basic, like traditional, and I have to cook every night. I'm like, it's so good for you though, even though you hate it.
Where's she at?
In Plains, Montana. They moved up there, they're buying a house. Because I guess things were so bad for them here, they didn't have any options here, so they went where they had options. And now she sent me a picture of the snow. It's so yeah, like 3 feet of snow.
It's cold there, huh?
Yes. She's like, I hate the cold, but I love the snow.
It's freezing there year round. Oh.
Yeah, but you know what? When I was a little girl, we lived in Idaho, and my mom, I remember she dated this guy that lived in Montana, and they did good mushrooms out there.
Oh.
I remember going with my mom. I have a memory of picking mushrooms out of houses.
Go online, unfortunately. Right now we're closed at this location. Fully autonomous self-organizing systems. Plasma. That dimple inside of it. It's alive. Organism. 3.14. One load to take up after this load that we're taking up right now. Open light. Okay, the keys. Do have Maria sign a piece of paper again, like for some reason we ain't gonna leave, or we're leaving.
Excuse me.
It's crazy. 3 times. Why you gonna move into this place? I don't know how it could do that. Anyway. Things are up. At last, getting packed. Not the last of us. From the streets, side of the corner, from here to the top of the mountain. All with love. Oh, don't forget that guy.
No, I couldn't get it out. You already told me. There's a book.
We're gonna leave the TV. Never get that going. We had people come and view movies and stuff. Wasn't nice. You gonna make me put the password in? There's about there, kids. Whew. Getting there. Getting there. Packed. Packed. 34 minutes to go. And that's all, folks. Love and light. Good night, 408. It was magical, beautiful. Thank you all for letting us be a part. Leaving the TV here. No need for all that. Doesn't show nothing anyways. Yeah, time to go. Love and light. Good night, Roy. Hello to a new world, new beginning, evolution. Hello to evolution. Happy November, everybody.
Oh, it's your birthday month.
11 days to my birthday, 12 days to hers.
He almost.
Captain out there.
Okay, thanks. We're home.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to sleep. Get up and unpack and cut down more trees and work. Ain't nobody else gonna do it. Thank you. Thank you, car. Look at that clearing. Getting a crystal bath. Blue moon, full moon.
Chemistry, Princeton University's Dylan Morris told me, with salts and things in our cough droplets inactivating the virus faster in warmer settings. Though, as the live virus experiments his colleagues performed have shown, the effects of droplet evaporation in moister or drier environments have a more complex effect.
So what we found with humidity is actually a U-shaped effect. So the virus decayed fastest at 65% relative humidity and slower at both 40% and 85%. That is to say, it looks as though the virus decay is slower at the extremes and faster at intermediate relative humidities.
But doesn't it dry out faster in the driest air?
Well, it does, and that actually turns out to be part of the problem. So the first thing to understand is, why does humidity matter at all? As we discussed earlier, as you said, it affects how much the virus dries out, how much water evaporates. Now, in general, as water evaporates, the little micro droplet that the virus finds itself in gets more and more concentrated. And that can actually be quite bad for the virus, because there are these kinds of chemical reactions that can happen where the virus essentially might crash into other stuff there in the droplet with it and be inactivated in some way, damaged in some way. And so the more concentrated things are, the more of those collisions the virus is at risk of having. And so the faster you're going to lose viruses, the faster the overall quantity of virus in the droplet is going to go down.
And they also happen faster at higher temperatures as well. Is that why temperature matters?
Yes, absolutely. You may remember from chemistry class that in general, if you want a chemical reaction to go faster, a good way to make it go faster is to add heat, because that means that more of these collisions will actually successfully initiate the reaction.
Okay, so what happens then in the driest of these conditions?
Yeah, so this concentration effect seems like it would predict that things would get worse and worse for the virus as it gets drier. And yet we saw that it doesn't. And there's actually a good explanation for that, which is this interesting phenomenon called efflorescence. If things are too dry and you have a saline solution, a solution with some salts and other dissolved particles in it, you can have this phenomenon called efflorescence, where instead of just evaporating water, the salts actually form a crystal. And so instead of, this drying droplet, we have this little crystal containing virus. And it turns out that in those crystals, you don't have all that easy, fast chemical reaction to inactivate the virus. And in fact, the inactivation proceeds again more slowly.
It's sort of mummified almost.
Yeah, and to be clear, I should say that this is the part where we don't... All I'm saying here about the chemistry is still stuff that we're working to understand. These are sort of the conceptual models that we have, but further experiments are going to be necessary to really tease out exactly what the molecular level chemistry looks like. But these are sort of the thought models that motivate this macro scale picture.
It's very interesting, but how does that translate into, let's say, your house or an office or a school building? Either what should we be looking out for, or what can we do?
So I think the biggest things that are takeaways from our work is that the thing we saw where it lasts longer at 10 Celsius might sound scary for being outdoors during the winter. But outdoors, you have other things to help protect you. You have UV light, which we think can inactivate virus as well. And you have ventilation. Outdoors, the air is flowing around, and as long as you keep your distance from people, any viruses they will breathe out will disperse through the air, and any dose that reaches you might be quite small. The problem is that same cold weather tends to drive us indoors in the northern hemisphere winter that we're approaching now. And when we go indoors, a lot of buildings aren't well ventilated. So if someone is indoors with you and they're sick, they're breathing out virus into the air, and that air is being recirculated. So the quantity of virus can build up, and your cumulative risk can be much higher because you don't have ventilation to help you. And of course, you don't have UV to help you.
But what about the sort of humidity and the temperature? I mean, I guess people are going to put the heating on, for example, in winter.
Yes, and that's the other concern, because mostly when people put the heating on, that actually tends to dry out the air in their house. And that can really be helpful to the virus. We've seen from our work that it can be helpful to the virus by helping it persist longer. But it can also be helpful to the virus in other ways as well. Professor Ikiko Iwasaki at Yale has done some very interesting work showing that the low humidities indoors in the wintertime can make our respiratory immune defenses weaker by drying out our airways. So the dry indoor air in the winter is something to be concerned about, and I think that as much as possible, people should try to ventilate and to humidify so that they don't have recirculated air and they don't have dry air as they spend more time indoors. And of course, people should wear masks.
Dylan Morris, who's an evolutionary biologist specializing in viruses at Princeton University. His study is available as an unrefereed preprint at medarchive.org, where there are now over 10,000 papers on COVID-19 posted in just 10 months. We stay with humidity and with dryness for the last two items in the program, though in the context of global warming. First, a study showing that it's not only rising temperatures that are a threat to the people of India, but also a rise in humidity in the atmosphere, which increases heat stress because sweating becomes ineffective. Under these conditions, temperatures well above body temperature become lethal. What I hadn't realized was that irrigation in India is so widespread as to affect humidity across much of the country. Hydrologist Vimal Mishra explained.
India is the largest groundwater user in the world for irrigation. And the Indo-Gangetic Plain in North India is one of the, or probably the highest irrigated, among the highest irrigated regions. So we grow crops across the year, and most of the time we irrigate crops through groundwater. So there is no season where crops are not there, even we grow summer crops, right? So because of this intensive irrigation, there are implications in terms of changing the atmosphere or lower atmosphere humidity and also the temperature.
I mean, that's the thing that really surprised me, is that you irrigate so much in India, you're saying, you can actually change how much evaporation there is, the moisture content of the atmosphere, the humidity.
Exactly. So irrigation basically cools down the land surface by about 1 degree or so, which is quite significant. So irrigation provides a considerable amount of cooling. And if you look at the last 30-40-year temperature record over the Indo-Gangetic Plain, we find that there has been significant cooling despite the climate warming or the very high rise in temperature in other parts of India. So this is contradictory that in the era of global warming or climate change, we see in one region there has been a very significant cooling, and that cooling is predominantly driven by irrigation.
So this is basically air conditioning done by the farmers.
Exactly. So irrigation basically reduces the impact or provides comfort during heat waves. But what it does in contrast, that because of this high irrigation, you increase the amount of water being evaporated from land to atmosphere. And because of high evaporation, what happens, the relative humidity in lower atmosphere also increases. So then you get the combination of high temperature and very high humidity levels, and that increases the extreme moist heat stress, and that can create a deadly combination.
But this is the bit then that really puzzles me, because what you're saying is that if you're in a humid area, it's harder to sweat, but the fact is that by air conditioning the atmosphere with this humidity, the temperature generally is lower. I'm not quite sure how the humid heat translates. Take me through that.
So for instance, this moist heat stress can be very high just for 2 or 3 hours during entire day, and that could cause a very high level of discomfort for humans and often can cause also the mortality. Despite irrigation cools down to temperature 1 degree, but that may not be sufficient to provide the desired comfort that a person needs. For instance, if temperature is around 45 degrees Celsius and irrigation cools down around 1 or 1.5 degree, it is still very high to create a high level of discomfort.
And this then becomes incredibly important, obviously, with global warming, because presumably India will, despite this irrigation, go on heating up at some point.
Absolutely, and that is probably the largest implication of our work, though we have not shown any results related what will happen in future. But our very simple understanding is that India, more and more region is going to get irrigated in future to produce more food. And if you look at the projections, climate projections, they all suggest that roughly 3 to 4 degree warming will happen by the end of this century. So this could create a deadly combination.
Given what you're projecting and the numbers, what can people do?
People can think about like controlling the humidity level, and we have to find out irrigating our crops in more efficient manner so that we don't use a lot of water. So we provide the water that is required by the crops, because normal practice of irrigation is to flood the crops. So most of the water is not required by the crops, and that is being evaporated. So if you have efficient irrigation system, that would help, along with the, of course, public awareness and early warning systems.
Vimal Misra, hydrologist and climatologist at the Indian Institute of Technology in Gandhinagar. The analysis came out this week in Nature Geoscience. Now, to the other extreme, a return towards the 1930s Dust Bowl conditions of the American Midwest, made famous by the folk songs of Woody Guthrie and in John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath during the depths of the Great Depression. It was a paper posted earlier this month that alerted the world to the returning trends. On October the 11th, the day before the study was put online, a storm blew up across the Midwest that underlined just how conditions are changing there. A 300-kilometre wall of dust that NASA watched from space, and that Christy Stolp videoed from her Colorado farmyard, following a heads up from her husband.
Yes, it was Sunday afternoon, and he was finishing planting wheat. He could see it coming in, and we'd known, of course, from our local weathermen that it would be coming in. So, yeah, he just told me to go out and take a look at it, make sure all the barn doors were shut and that all the kids were inside the house. And we just kind of batten down the hatches and wait for it to roll by. You know, and our weatherman, Brian Bledsoe, said, you know, even his family has a large ranch, and the dirt was moving there, you know, just as much. It started in northern Colorado and came down. So it was moving to pastures, moving everything that day.
And even for someone raised in the Midwest, this haboob, as the storm is called, was
across the plains.
I think so. You know, I grew up in this area, and I don't remember the storms ever being this bad. The windstorms that would hit, I don't remember any really from when I grew up. I'm 43, but we have had them more lately.
And that's what graduate researcher Andy Lambert had seen while preparing his thesis on atmospheric dust at the University of Utah.
We have seen increases in exceedances of air quality standards that are set by the Environmental Protection Agency. So they set a threshold at a certain concentration for particles, and especially we're talking about large particles when we're talking about dust. And these levels were not, when we looked at this for maybe the first decade between 2000 and 2010 or so, these levels weren't exceeded at all in most of the Great Plains. And the change that we've seen there is that these levels are now being exceeded once or twice every few years across many of the Great Plains states.
These areas include North and South Dakota, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and western Minnesota. So that is the same area that was impacted by the Dust Bowl.
I just blowed in and I got them Dust Bowl blues. I just blowed in and I got them Dust Bowl blues.
Unsurprisingly, the Dust Bowl, that totem of American folk history, looms large over the paper Gannett Hallar wrote with her graduate student Andy Lambert.
I've seen the dust so black that I couldn't see a thing. I've seen the dust so black that I couldn't see a thing. And the wind so cold, boy, it nearly cut your water off.
The paper is based on techniques she developed to detect dust as opposed to other particulates from NASA satellite data, as well as a range of ground-based sensors. The trend, she says, is unmistakable.
So we're looking at about a 5% increase per year in dust. And when you consider that over a 20-year period, you're looking at nearly a doubling of the dust. And we have seen these increases in dust events directly correlated with land use change, and in particular, agricultural changes.
The irony is, in much of the Midwest, expansion of maize production has been encouraged by biofuel incentives intended to offset global warming. And as other researchers have noted, this has meant grasslands with year-round cover have been plowed up to make way for seasonal crops. Echoes of what happened when tractors first arrived on the Great Plains. And there's a feedback that could follow that worries Andy Lambert.
The biggest feedback that we're worried about is the process of desertification. That when you have soils destabilized by cropland expansion, they suddenly become more likely to produce dust emissions when you have stronger winds that move over them. And once that happens, once dust is emitted from these soils, it removes important nutrients for vegetation growth that helps to stabilize those soils. And suddenly they become more susceptible to wind erosion of dust. And that kind of process of desertification is the same thing that we saw in the 1930s with the Dust Bowl.
Amplifying the human effects in the 1930s were the impacts of climate. 1936 remains to this day the hottest summer on record in the Midwest. 1934, the driest. Crops and grasslands perished in the heat. And this year saw studies saying the farm Christy Stolp agrees.
As farmers, I think that we have some definite opportunities to improve things. Right now, though, a problem is economics. Farmers have to do what's going to work for the banker. Now, of course, we want to do what's best for the land because long term, that will increase our profitability more than anything else. But when we're in the kind of situation we are right now, with a trade war with China, and we can't even produce a bushel and make any money, that's a real problem. So economics are driving a lot of how farmers farm, but then you also get some of these climate change events, and when they collide together, it's not a good thing.
These dusty blues are the dustiest ones I know. These dusty blues are the dustiest ones I know. Buried head over heels in the black old dust. I had to pack up and go.
And so do I. Thanks to Christy and Gannett for talking to me. There's a link to the study on the Science in Action webpage at bbcworldservice.com. And apologies to those hoping we'd talk about excess water on the moon. But here at the Radio Science Unit, that's me, Roland Pease, and producer Deborah Cohen, we thought the lack of it on Earth was more compelling.
What is that? Just gotta unpack. Repack my car container. Done. New life we're waking up to.